Sorry, I can't be your puppet on a string. And my neighbor is a puppet artist, so they want puppetry.
Oh, geez, since we're both here in the room, I don't need to do an intro for this episode. How cool! Well, welcome to Nobody Drives in LA, a car-free Los Angeles podcast. I am the editor of the podcast, Kyle, and
I'm the other co-host, Eric.
And today we are doing an AMA episode. Eric posted to Reddit, Instagram, and over socials to see what you, the listeners, wanted to ask us. All of your burning questions to grease the bike chains and, you know, and get talking.
Maybe a bit premature, because how many episodes have we recorded so far? Like 12?
10.
10? Okay. So, yeah, but it's been fun, and I just thought it would be fun. And I thought the questions that people asked were really fun to think about, although my answers might be less fun because I can't edit. I can't self-edit.
So Eric, how did you get here today?
So I got here today. I had a realization actually the other day when I was listening to the audio from one of our podcasts. I was like, this is like our equivalent of the Californians sketch, where we talk about, except that we talk about buses and one wheels and bikes and stuff. But it's like, so I took the 92 so then I got on the wrong train.
That would be really funny. We should do a reel for that.
I got on the B line when I meant to get on the D line, and I was literally thinking to myself, it's so nice to be riding it to the terminus of the line because I don't have to pay attention to when to get off. And then after a little bit, I was like, I feel like I've maybe been on too long. And then I looked up and I was arriving at a stop in Little Armenia before the stop in Thai Town on my way to North Hollywood. So I just very coolly got off and then walked across the platform, caught a train going the other direction that took 4 minutes of waiting, and then took that train and then got on the D line. And on the D line, I had two people ask me, is this the red line? So I was like, no. And then I was like, what kind of moron confuses? I got to roll my eyes and be judgy.
It was, though. It wasn't it the red line back in the 90s
They were both originally the red line. And then this one became the purple line. Yeah. So, but that's not what they wanted to know. Yeah. They didn't want the history.
Yeah, they didn't want the full transit history. I find that
back in the day.
Yeah, I find that I have that trouble when I interact with people because I love to geek out on super nerdy context, and 90% of the population just wants a quick answer.
They're like, do I need to get off this train right now and get on the one going the other direction? The answer is yes, but you're like, well, back in 1993.
Yeah, well, if you have a mobility device, you can just like bike over a couple of blocks and catch up this bus. But nobody wants to hear that besides me.
But the rides themselves were totally normal. I did have that little layover at the Grand Central Station where the shrill classical music was playing. I counted the people in the station. There's 27. 2 of them were Metro employees. 1 was possibly homeless, but there's no Gestapo yet asking people to show their papers or proof of residence. So I don't know that for a fact, but I still wonder, how is this annoying music supposed to work? It's supposed to drive people out of the station, but only the homeless people and not the riders, who are the vast majority of people. And also, another strategy idea might be to just activate the stations so that they're places like that, because, you know, having been to Korea and Taiwan and Japan where they have stations that have boutiques and cafes and restaurants, bakeries, bars, even art galleries sometimes, you can just make a station a place that a bunch of people want and have eyes on the streets, as it were, instead of just trying to drive everyone out and make it as lifeless and unappealing as an empty parking garage.
Would you say that Union Station is like that? Because when you get off the train,
Union Station is great.
Art events,
but here's the thing. Union Station predates Metro by about 60 years.
Oh, really?
So it was built to unify. Before Union Station, there was the Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe had their own station, and Southern Pacific had its own station. And then they said, let's unify these into one Union Station, which will have a Harvey House and restaurants and all this stuff that people like to go to.
Define Harvey House.
Harvey House was a chain of restaurants that only existed in train stations, I believe. So it was like, you know how like Sbarro or Quiznos is? They only exist in like food courts, it seems like. Wetzel's Pretzels. It was like that for train stations. And then I believe, I've never seen Meet Me in St. Louis, even though it's set in Missouri, and I try to watch all movies that take place where I grew up. I've never seen Meet Me in St. Louis, but that has Judy Garland, I believe, as a Harvey girl who's, I don't know if it was like
Harvey
It might have been
girl.
more like, like Victorian era Hooters. I think there might have been an element of, the way they're all pretty waitresses, except they're wearing like, hoop dresses and stuff, and bonnets. But I really don't. Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Well, I think we should pitch to Jane that, Jane, if you can bring back a Harvey House for Metro, or my pitch is to do the flip side of it, which would be Muscle Hut, which would be similar to a Hooters, except you can sell bicep butterings for like an added $2 upcharge. So all the real buff, waiters, you can butter their biceps or whatever, and really just balance the gender scales.
I am all for like having wait staff that are sexually objectified, but it should be for everyone.
Yeah.
If you're it shouldn't just be for the people that like women who wear scrunchy white socks and those orange shorts and stuff, whoever they are.
Yeah, well, that is to say that I got here, I got on the Big Blue Bus 7 right at the corner of 4th and Pico, and just rode it all the way down. So we started this conversation last time on our episode with Cozy, and I was talking about how my car recently died, and I'm trying to figure out how the heck I'm going to get myself to Glendale at 4 a.m. for production jobs. And as I've been looking at cars, which coincidentally, going to look at a car near LAX got me on the K line for the first time,
Nice.
which was a very fun experience. I like the underground section of the K line.
Did you get off at every stop to check out the station art?
I did not, but
Okay.
I'll do that. If I ever give myself time to go explore and do stuff, that is what I should. Maybe we do an episode about that, just exploring K-line
I'm down.
stuff. So, but I got to try out the K-line, and I found as I've been looking at cars and doing all this, like even though I found a good enough deal, got approved for a loan, whatever you're supposed to do, the thought of it just fills me with absolute dread. Like my stomach is just, in my bones, I know I don't want to do this. And so I realized, well, then it's just time to get a Vespa. Like I've wanted to do. At this point, I don't need, a car does not fill any need for me that a motor scooter would not. So on my bus ride today, I was reading the California Motorcycle Safety Handbook to get ready for a motorcycle test. So I used this bus ride today to study and to get ready to start getting my stuff back on track. And then now I'm here.
I've only ridden a Vespa once, and I crashed it into somebody's garage door. I popped a wheelie. But this was like a '60s Vespa where I think they had more muscle.
Yeah.
Back then.
It depends on the bike, but you get there's 50cc bikes, which I used to drive when I lived in rural Pennsylvania, not the bike to be driving through the woods. I was once chased by a pack of feral chickens that came out of a thicket of woods.
joke.
They were chasing me uphill.
They were feral.
Feral. They almost got
and
me.
possibly rabid.
And I thought it ends today. But you don't need a motorcycle license to ride a bike like that. If you do a 150, which is essentially just a small motorcycle, I think a lot of the classic bikes were either 150cc or 250cc's. Think top speed, like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the 300s are like, 80,
I know there were
90.
Lambrettas that got I think up to like 70 or something. So they were.
When it comes down to it, electric cars are not going to save the environment, and electric cars are not going to save our very deranged land use and zoning policies.
Because they take up just as much space as a car that is combustion
Yep.
driven.
They take up just as much space. So
And sometimes more, because the trend is towards bigger and bigger, because you have to overcompensate for the fact that you're driving an electric vehicle by driving an obnoxiously large and dangerous one, so that people know that you're still a man, even though you're in an electric vehicle.
large, dangerous, and now pointy, because we're bringing back 90s video game
And
car
unshatterable windows.
designs. Yeah, shatterable windows. So I think that's where I'm at. And listeners, maybe you could chime in on this. I kind of feel like maybe this is like I'm being a car-free poser here. But it feels in alignment that it solves my needs. Don't have to get a car because I don't have a need for it and I don't want to. the time that I drove a scooter in the past was great. And a majority of my getting around is still going to be bike, transit, the rest of it. So I think this feels good, but we'll see. But now on to your questions.
Yeah. And you know what? I was thinking too, I hope that the conversation doesn't end here because I would like to hear people's own answers to these questions because some of them I don't think that we haven't run our answers by each other, but I don't think we'll have the answers to all of these questions.
Yeah, we've had at least I've had a bad habit of texting Eric like, oh, I had this thought about like this experience in the train today and blah, 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 blah. Kyle, save it for the podcast. So we're trying to keep our answers as siloed as possible, secretive until today.
Can we just acknowledge too that the fires are pretty much out when we're recording this? Last time we were here, we were recording during these insane wildfires that were going on. And now it's this completely different world out there. There's snow in the mountains. And I was, whenever I see snow in the mountains, I feel physically pulled towards the mountains. But
pulled towards.
I want to climb those mountains.
Oh, wow. I feel
I want to hike in them. Oh, really? I want to get in that snow. And it's so hard without a car. And one of our, hopefully, guests in the future, Lisa Kwan, I was surprised when she told me that she was car-free because she posts a lot of pictures on social media of snowboarding up in the mountains. And I was like, how do you get up there then? She said she's a passenger princess. But I am, therefore, a passenger prince. And my friend Mike asked me if I wanted to go in the mountains the day after the snow fell because he knows. He's like, want to go for a hike? Looks like a good day for a hike. One of my cats, Alan, though, has been having asthma flare-ups, probably having to do with maybe the change in the weather, but also probably the wildfires and also probably it getting cold and us using our gas heaters, which I would love to not have a gas heater. So instead, I'm just cold in my house now, and he hasn't had a flare up in over 24 hours. So since like 3 a.m. the other day.
What do you do when your cat has an asthma flare up?
It's tough because last time I took him to the vet, and I think he got a steroid shot, and that cleared it up. But I'd rather not have to put him through taking him to the vet or me. Yeah. And it's also that we'll get to that because people asked about evacuating with pets without.
Well, do we want to start with that question?
Let's
do it.
Because I kind of wrote them down in the order of the most thumbs up on Reddit, and then so we might have. Maybe we can jump around, but actually, I guess that's the way it displays up there too. So maybe we just go down the list.
Okay.
We'll start off with so this is from Reddit. This is G Palm. We love one that starts off with a compliment. Love the podcast. Here are my dreams that I feel are achievable in my lifetime. Fix the bridge between Atwater and Silver Lake so it's safe to bike on. Atwater only has one way out by bike that I feel safe taking. Make the Glendale train station more accessible to Atwater. Increase the Metrolink service and reliability. We take it as much as possible, but have gotten screwed by trains not arriving and no communication. And plenty of times we don't take it because there wouldn't be a train back. And then the final part of their not really a question, but more of a statement is slow down Spring Street along LA Historic Park and add ways to cross the street that don't feel like you're running across a highway. The housing a few blocks off of Spring right now have no safe access to the park.
So I guess to comment on some of these, I don't know about the bridge between Atwater and Silver Lake.
Well, then I can jump in on the bridge if you want.
I have thoughts on other bridges. So the warehouse where I work is in Atwater Village. Like that's part of Glendale, right? Like Glendale, Atwater.
It's not that whole. It's part of the city of Los Angeles, but it's next to. Actually, there used to be a community there, Tropico, that was half annexed by Glendale and half annexed by the city of Los Angeles. So it's the seed of it is in both cities.
So oftentimes, if I've worked a really long day, I'll sleep at the warehouse if I'm going to be up early the next day or whatever. And I found that when I want to go to grab a bite to eat after hours, there's this little Thai restaurant off to the side. I have to take.
Wait, what's the Thai place?
Oh, I forget. I know it's there and they're open late.
Is it Holy Basil?
That might be it. It was very like neighborhoody, like not very posh, but like very good curry. But if I try to get there, I have to. I think it's on Fletcher, maybe. Mm-hmm.
You take the Fletcher Bridge.
Yeah, the Fletcher Bridge. But if you're going across where you think would be like the logical path across the bridge. It takes you halfway across, poof, ends, terminates. And you have to go back around, go on the really narrow like sidewalk that runs alongside the car underpasses, or brave the traffic. But people just fly down there, and I don't think I can hang.
Because it's right by it's right next, it's between the 5 and the 2.
Yeah.
So anytime you're near one freeway, it already sucks. And then if you're between 2 freeways, you can just imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a nightmare, and I would love to see that weird middle of the bridge wall fixed, or the sidewalks widened underneath, or maybe a proper lane to get underneath it.
Talking about possibly the same bridge though, because it's kind of like Frankenbridge, because so there's Los Feliz Boulevard goes in the bridge the reader is talking about is technically called the Victory Memorial Bridge, because it was supposed to open on Memorial Day, celebrating the end of World War I, and it didn't open in time. Surprise. So most people know it as the Glendale Hyperion Bridge, because Hyperion goes there, Glendale Boulevard, it goes over Riverside, and Los Feliz Boulevard's further up.
I think the Los Feliz Bridge, doesn't that have a bike lane?
That does.
In it?
I think, I'm trying to think. No, I don't think so. It has a bike lane trail that goes, is part of the bridge. This is getting confusing though. But they're all designed by Merrill Butler, I believe, as part of the City Beautiful movement. So a lot of the bridges over there. But the Glendale Hyperion Bridge specifically, I had a friend visiting from Glasgow, and he called me because he was terrified that he'd wandered onto like a freeway or something. He was like, I was on a sidewalk and then it got narrower and narrower and I don't know what I did. And I was like, oh, I know where you are. You're on the Glendale Hyperion Bridge. You're fine. Yeah. But yes, the sidewalks as they are there are less wide than my feet are long.
Yeah.
So they're not sidewalks. And yet there are still plaques on the walls of this bridge so that you can see, oh, this is an historic bridge that presumably you're supposed to read from a speeding car or something, because you're can't
certainly not walking
out
it
there.
Yeah.
And the other option is that they have sidewalks that go up and over and then come down, which is, I'm sure great if you're mobility impaired in any way to just go up that hill in your wheelchair with your walker.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
I do have good news about that bridge though.
Let's hear it.
Well, they are working on redesigning it, and it is divided between City Council District 4 and 13, so it requires a little bit of coordination, but those districts are represented by Nithya Raman and Hugo Soto Martinez, who are both, I would say, transit progressives. I was thinking they both would be people that I would love to have on the show, but their transit deputies would be great people specifically, and one is Rogelio,
who we were trying to schedule with back in the early days.
Rogelio Pardo, and then the other one is Mehmet, and he is Nithya's transit person, and I've talked to him a bit about that train, but I thought rather than like going too into the process, it might be good to have him because it is complicated. I mean, there's stuff about decoupling this part from that part so that we can work on pedestrian access before having the whole thing designed. But yeah, the idea is, yes, bike lanes and sidewalks that don't just end in the middle of the road with no crosswalks, and then you have to run across the 5 off-ramp to get to safety. Yeah. What about making the Glendale train station more accessible to Atwater?
Oh, yeah.
That one might be one for... that's tough because I know what they're talking about. It is, if you go to the Glendale Transportation Center where Amtrak and Beeline, the Glendale Beeline and Metrolink, they all stop there. I've used that a lot. It's kind of hard to find. It's kind of tucked away and kind of feels like you're taking a sidewalk through these apartments to get there. I don't really know, because that is the city of Glendale and Atwater is the city of Los Angeles. It feels like it's extra complicated to get two neighboring cities to coordinate on anything.
I get it. I understand now. I understand the Glendale Atwater split.
Yeah. So yeah, basically the train tracks are basically where on one side it's Glendale and on the other side it's Atwater. So I don't know. And I would just say, reach out. I would ask, Streets for All, if they have one of their happy hours. They had one with the CEO of Metrolink in the past, so that would be a good opportunity to ask someone like that if you get involved in Streets for All. Other than that, I guess you could talk to someone from CD13 or Glendale City Council, but yeah, I don't know. Good luck on that. Increasing Metrolink's service and reliability, again, that would probably be, maybe we can get someone from Metrolink, because I know that they are, it's a balance for them. They're trying to, of course they would like to run trains more often, but then they have to coordinate with Amtrak and with freight trains that have priority on train tracks, and then money's an issue, but I think they're moving in the right direction personally. I do know that I would love it if Metrolink trains ran later more often, because I would not be one of those people that was taking Metrolink to and from work. I would be one of those people that would like to be able to take Metrolink to and from some cultural thing in Pomona or at the, some other art center.
Yeah, or concerts or shows, whatever.
There was something at the Segerstrom in Orange County that I was like, oh, yeah, I could go to that, and then I guess I would just have to spend the night. It becomes a whole thing. And then as far as slowing down Spring Street along LA Historic Park, I would say, I would reach out to Eunices Hernandez, who's the City Council District 1 person that represents that area. I also think that's a big issue. Not just the connectivity between LA Historic Park and Dogtown, which is the neighborhood to the east that they keep trying to like rebrand as Chinatown North or something, but Dogtown, they can run across that wide street to get to the historic park, but then they are not connected to Elysian Park, which is just across the train track. So I don't know, I would like to see a big gondola. No, I'm just kidding. That's basically where they want to build it. No, I just think like some kind of bridge over that connects to the historic park. There used to be one when that was actually where one of the train yards was. The historic park was a rail station up there. The River Station, I believe. And yeah, I saw an old film noir where there was a bridge that went all the way across it from Elysian Park to Dogtown, and they're like fighting on the bridge over the train tracks. Bring back that bridge and let people fight
on the bridge. I mean,
people
truly,
in
though,
boxy suits.
Truly though, like bridge duels are so epic. And you just don't get to have that same kind of excitement on a highway bridge.
I was just watching a martial arts movie last night and just enjoying how great warehouses are for fighting people with shipping containers and forklifts, lots of opportunities for swinging around and falling.
Yeah, truly. I think maybe we bring back, we discussed this on our episode with Michael Schneider about our oversexed bike riding action hero.
Our bike stud.
Yeah, our bike stud action hero. So clearly they have to have a bridge duel now. And they need to fight into a warehouse.
We need a multimodal movie where all of the action, just being in a car would just not help you. Like, okay, now the guy's running across this pedestrian bridge, like you can't fit your car on it. Now they're riding their bike through a tiny little alley you can't fit your car through.
And think about how impractical car chase scenes actually are in any city. Like, there's no way you are driving at speed in a congested metro area, like apart from 2 a.m.
In this martial arts movie, there is a car chase. It's called My Lucky Stars. I might as well mention it if people want to watch it. It's a Sammo Hung movie with Jackie Chan and but from the 80s. But there are car chases in it, and of course they're ridiculous. Like, they pull the hook off on one of those cars or one of those trucks that has the trailer, and then that works in making it go down so that they can build up speed and then jump off of the, so they're in like a Ford Festiva or something. But yeah, it's not, it really stretches disbelief when they're like jumping in this little hatchback over people's yards and stuff. You could have a more realistic action movie where you just ride a bike and get away from somebody.
Yeah.
Next with the most votes, what I had was Sesgar 21. How can we close down streets in LA to make them just pedestrian only for long stretches? An idea would be along Exposition Boulevard from the stadiums to La Brea. I think that would be cool, and for not just for commuting, but also for sports gatherings and walking up to the stadiums and museums. You got thoughts?
Well, we have a comment on that too. Is maybe y'all can interview Ciclavia and SGV folks about what it takes to get streets closed to cars. I mean, I think we've been talking about wanting to interview someone from Ciclavia for a while now.
Yeah, I was thinking of maybe Tafari, who's the chief strategist, and because I've talked to him before, and he knows about the whole planning of doing that. But as far as getting it done permanently, I don't know. Like LADOT's livable streets is who's in charge of doing small little pedestrian plazas. But I mean, I would be all for having, there's something like 8,400 something streets in Los Angeles. If we had one east-west one that was car-free and one north-south one that was car-free.
There you go.
It's like you still have 8,400 and however many for cars.
You're truly not losing all that much.
It's okay. But as far as actually getting it done practically, I don't have a good answer.
Yeah, same.
Oh, I did look it up. Dr. Google says that there's 8,845 public streets. And, and we have freeways are car-only streets. So how many freeways do we have? Can we have 2 bikeways?
Yeah. The elevated bikeway as
the
discussed.
California Cycleway.
California Cycleway.
Build more of those.
Build the Cycleway. Then we have Dolly 7782. I want them to start the BRT. I want them to start the BRT as well.
And then, but I have questions about that. I'm not sure which BRT they mean because there's 3 that I know of that are in the planning phase right now. There's the North Hollywood,
Pasadena.
Yeah, North Hollywood to Pasadena Transit Corridor.
There's Vermont
Transit Corridor.
And what's the third?
The Rosemead Lakewood Bus Rapid Transit Line. So I thought we could, because they didn't specify, we can talk about all 3 if we want.
Let's go. Let's go.
So the North Hollywood to Pasadena Transit Corridor is basically just like what it sounds like, and it would connect. What's the train that I got on that I didn't mean to? The B line, to the A line in Pasadena, and that would be cool. For my part, I think it's starting to change, but we still have a lot of transit lines that go in and out of downtown. It's still a very downtown-centric fixed transit network, and it will be nice when we start having sort of a ring of transit around so you don't have to necessarily go downtown and then out from downtown because downtown is not the center of everything, but just I was looking at that route and I was like, oh, there's the Iliad Bookshop. There's the Blue Room, which is have you ever been to the Blue Room?
No,
it's a blue themed bar. It's very Lynchian.
Just blue.
Rest in peace, David Lynch. Everything's blue in there. The couches are blue. The booths are blue. Everything's blue, and it's one of the. It might be the oldest bar in. It's right at where Burbank and Glendale meet. So like the Grandview San Fernando station, it would be around there. But check out the Blue Room. The Museum of Neon Art, it would go by. The Eagle Rock Plaza, a.k.a. the Filipino Mall. I think more people might actually know it as that, or at least my friends. The Norton Simon, Pacific Asia Museum, Pasadena Playhouse, Froman's, Canterbury Records, and last but not least, the Gourmet Cobbler Factory in Pasadena. That sounds like a BRT line that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it here, it's interesting again that we still don't have any plans for a north-south connection from downtown to any of these things. Mm-hmm. Like cutting across from NoHo to Pasadena looks, fantastic, wonderful. I would love for a little spur from downtown that would hit Echo Park, maybe hit Silver Lake, get you up to Atwater and Glendale that way.
Well, basically, if we made the 92 a rapid bus, because the 92 is the former route of the Glendale Burbank subway line back in the Pacific Electric days. So, just put it back. That's why Glendale Boulevard's so wide through Echo Park and Atwater, and the Brand Avenue of Cars was originally the Brand train right of way.
Speaking of the rapid buses, Eric, can you comment on, because most of the rapid buses have gone away now, right? So what's the shift?
We used to have until a couple of years, till next gen, right around then, which was a program, a process of reorganizing the bus routes, sort of evaluating and tweaking them to make them serve the train lines more and to make them run more often and make it more efficient. There used to be, and someone is probably going to correct me on this, but there used to be local lines and rapid lines, and of course there's commuter buses. But I don't remember. I did make a map. You could probably find it online of the Metro rapid bus route, because I thought, wow, if they just upgraded all of these to dedicated bus lanes, that would be amazing. Instead, they said, well, we're going to get rid of them all except for like 2, but we'll make the local buses run more often and not stop so frequently. So it's sort of a compromise between the bulk of buses got a little bit faster and what had been rapid buses got slower, sort of. Scroll down and you'll see the map I made. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Hey,
look at that. So imagine that overlaid with the train route. If all those
that'd be killer.
And it wouldn't just be, and it wouldn't serve just the rapid buses. It would serve all the buses that use those streets, those blocks of those streets. But if we include this as a visual icon or a note to it, a link to it.
Maybe this is our episode thumbnail for this episode.
Yeah, there was just this massive. But the thing is that a lot of them weren't really that rapid, and that was part of the problem with them too. But they weren't rapid because they didn't have dedicated lanes.
Right.
So it's like this self-defeating thing. Like, I don't know. It's like the bus that I missed most that used to go by my house was the 201, and they were like, well, it has low ridership, so we're getting rid of it. And it's like, but it has low ridership because it goes to Koreatown and it ends its last run at like 5 p.m. and only goes on weekdays. And I don't go out till dinner till like 7.
Yeah.
So then they expanded it to weekends, but then it was like, okay, now it will run until 8. And I was like, this is still not super useful to go to like the sort of entertainment, one of the main entertainment centers of the city.
So if we're looking at the Vermont BRT project, what's the scoop on that?
So they are, I understand that they are upgrading that, and that I think it might be a little bit more incremental in that it's not going to be a full bus rapid transit lane, but that it is going to be a more frequent service, more like a rapid bus than a BRT. But that one goes by. The thing is, that one doesn't maybe necessarily, well, it doesn't have as many amenities that I'm aware of. I mean, it would go from like USC and by Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, the lovely Vermont Branch Library. But the real thing about that is not that it's a line to access amenities. That's the busiest transit route in Los Angeles with 36,000 daily boardings. So it's really just like people need to get up and down
Through
Vermont faster. Yeah. So all for that, But that is, it seems like it's happening, and it's just been, the design has been walked back a little bit just because, it's like the normal things. People are like, oh, well, that requires you to take away some car storage spots, so we can't have it be as fully functional as it needs because there are things more important than moving people, and that's storing private automobiles in public space.
According to Metro, it's seeking exemption from CEQA under SB 922.
And then the last one, which is the Rosemead Lakewood BRT line, I think that is further down the road if it's going to happen. That's like a 26.3 miles or 42 kilometers for everyone else in the world line that would go. Another one of those ones that sort of, would be nice because it's going around the center of the region instead of through downtown, and would serve a lot of people in Southeast Los Angeles and the San Gabriel Valley. And it would go through Whittier Narrows, which is that big green space that you see on the map, and by the San Gabriel Valley Badminton Club, which I remember that came up before because Jane does not have a good badminton game. And then the Columbia Memorial Space Center in Downey. But yeah, I like train routes that don't go through downtown.
Next, we have a girl named Breakfast who has 3 questions. The first of which, what, in your opinions, is the best transit app to use for commuting by metro, bus in LA, and are there any actually worth paying for? For example, I tried Transit Royale a while back, but it didn't seem to make a difference unless there were features I overlooked.
I think we can just answer those as we go through maybe, because what do you think? What transit app do you use?
I mostly use, for buses, I use Transit.
And I use Transit too.
Yep.
And I have not tried Transit Royale,
Yeah.
so I don't...
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it.
Transit seems to be more reliable than Google Maps for figuring out when the buses are coming and where you need to go. And in the Transit app, you can pay your fares for the city bus systems, but not Metro. So I think that's really handy. Yeah, I would just recommend using the Transit app.
I use it, and sometimes I use Google Maps as a backup, like a second opinion.
Yeah, I find Google Maps is good when I'm using the rail, and Transit is really good for using the buses. I don't know. I haven't done a ton of bus rail transfers so far. So as I explore more of that stuff, I may have new intel.
I think we talked about it before. I wish you could personalize your account a little bit more and just say things like, "Hey, I'd rather walk 10 minutes than wait 8," or stuff like that. but that it's pretty good.
So we need to befriend an app developer and make a highly customizable multimodal app, and not just. I guess that's another thing too that is sort of a pain with transit apps. Because I use a combination of walking, biking, transit, all of that. And I'll have to, each leg of my trip, like my walking leg, walk to the train station, stop, get on the train, different app for the train, get off the train, close up my map, start up a new destination for the next mode that I'm using for the next leg of it. And it would be super convenient if I could just, hey, this leg walking, this leg bike, this leg bus. But yeah, it's
more multimodal.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain, but you can find workarounds.
It's better than calling Metro with a pencil and paper and then writing down directions and then printing. This is the old school way, and then like printing out a map from MapQuest with all the steps on it.
This is a bit of a tangent story, but when I was in college, my friends and I took a trip to go see the Flaming Lips play in Atlantic City on the 4th of July, and this was during the MapQuest era. So we had a paper MapQuest map to get us all the way from Scranton, Pennsylvania to Atlantic City, New Jersey. After this Flaming Lips show, which, it's a loud, euphoric experience. Everyone's probably having contact highs from all of the cannabis. So we're driving back and we lost the MapQuest directions. And we were trying to figure out how to get back from Atlantic City to this little town called Egg Harbor where my friend Ron's uncle lived. We were staying with him. We couldn't figure it out. And we wound up going around the same loop of highway for 4 hours until the sun rose.
Wow.
Because we couldn't find our MapQuest directions. So I think one of my friends actually crumpled them up and threw them at me.
Oh my gosh.
As part of
they tore it up and loaded it into a confetti cannon and then thanks everybody. That's our map.
Yeah, it was part of the Flaming Lips show. But 2, what's a cool fact about LA transportation, historical or recent, that you wish more people knew about?
I have a bunch.
This is all you.
Okay. Because some of these are obvious to me and probably to a lot of listeners, but not to everyone. But I'm always surprised. People don't know that. Well, you always hear people saying that we don't have public transit here, and that, and if you say yes, we do, then they say no one uses it. Well, we have the second largest public transit network in the country with the second highest ridership, which kind of makes sense because we're the second largest city. Now we're a long way behind New York City, but
so is the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, I would say Asia is way ahead of New York City. They're not using 90-year-old equipment, but yeah. But so letting people know, yes, we do have ridership. And also that this was not one of my answers, but I think there's about 700,000 Angelenos that don't even live in a house with a car. So there are a lot of people that get around without cars in Los Angeles. A lot of people don't know that Pacific Electric was about that we used to have the largest interurban electric railway
network in the world.
In history of the world. People that do know that don't know that Los Angeles Railway had even higher ridership, though, because the Pacific Electric Railway had huge reach, like Metrolink, but Los Angeles Railway was more like the local service. People don't know about the California Cycleway, which, although we've talked about that a few times. Wilshire Boulevard, people have been using it for 8,000 years at least. People lived here in what's now Southern California for at least 13,000 years without cars. We have the first car came, and I want to say it was like 1896, something like that. For 13,000 years, they didn't have pack animals either, large pack animals, the Chumash and the Tongva and people that came later. They had boats and they had feet and they walked around.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's how Wilshire Boulevard started.
You know, Eric, I wonder maybe if we can reach out to doing an episode about that, like
ancient transit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Maybe we can take. I would love to like take a boat out to the Channel Islands. We can row out. Be like, you can't do this in a car.
Hey, feats of strength. That is what I could contribute to this podcast. I will row us the whole way.
Catalina Express, Island Packers, Catalina Flyer. Those are all ferries that go out to the Channel Islands. Those are mass transit too. And you can't drive to any of those islands in your car. And they'll take you to 6 of the 8 Channel Islands. I still have to figure out how to get to the ones that are controlled by the Navy legally. There are ways. There are people will be invited to come out and do like get rid of invasive species and stuff like that.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's part of biological. Yeah. So if we can get in with some biologists and say, hey, we're out here to remove some ice plants or something, then maybe we can go out to San Clemente Island.
I'll talk to my surf rider friends, see if they can get us in.
And then this is a kind of a silly one that actually just came up recently again, is the downtown people mover was something that they wanted to build in the 1970s. Not very practical, but I just think it was very groovy and retro futuristic, Logan's Run looking thing. And even though it's not practical, I just think they should make it, because I don't think all transit has to be practical. Why else would people go to Rick Caruso's malls and stand in line for a trolley that goes from an Olive Garden to, whatever? And then, Disney proved that. I mean, people go to Disneyland and then stand in line to take mass transit. The monorails and the trains and stuff. So I don't think it all, Angel's Flight is not super. You don't need to use Angel's Flight, most of us. But it's fun.
I do like to race the Angel's Flight if it's going up to run alongside it. Like
in your one wheel on the stairs.
On my feet. I grew up in a really hilly town, and for whatever reason, whenever I am running, it activates the competitive part of my brain, and I'm just like, no, Hill, you are not going to get the best of me. Let's go. And I run faster uphill than I do on
I've definitely
straightaways.
done those stairs before just because, well, I guess probably sometimes there have been times where the Angel's Flight isn't in service, so I'm just like, okay, I'll just take these stairs. Not a big deal. But I like taking it too.
I would offer that my current favorite LA transportation fact, by nature of several friends, I've told them about this and they've just been like, whoa, I didn't know. I'm going to take it. Great. The LAX flyaway bus.
Oh, yeah.
You can take
That's
a bus
good one.
to...
People don't know about that.
You can take a bus from...
Well, everyone should, because when someone says like, I hate to be this friend, but my flight's coming in at 3:50 in the morning, and you're like, okay, take the flyaway bus.
Yeah. So you can hop on a flyaway bus from Van Nuys, from Union Station. There may be some others around.
There used to be more, and then they cut some of those. There used to be one to Hollywood. There used to be the Van Nuys one still there.
Yeah. Van Nuys.
I want to say there used to be like
Union.
5, but during COVID, the height of it, we lost some. But yeah, the one to Union Station is still. It is a game changer, to use an overly used word. Yeah, and how much is it to use the?
It's $10.
$10, yeah.
Like 10 and change.
$10 to get from LAX to Union Station.
So much better than a $50 Uber.
Yep.
Question 3. I live about a mile away from where I work, so I almost always walk unless I need to be there before 5 a.m. when I don't feel super safe walking alone. I'm a smallish girl for context. There isn't a bus route I can take either, so I usually get an Uber, but it also feels silly to take an Uber someplace that's a mile away. I'd like to bike, but I'm absolutely terrified of riding along in the unprotected bike lanes alone, since I have a minor vision impairment, which tends to be more prevalent in the morning when I'm not quite awake yet. Any practical tips for navigating this? I refuse to accept that my options are just Uber or maybe die.
Reading that one, I was like, this is part of the reason that I want to be very intentional about having people who aren't just large white guys on the podcast, because that is, I would not feel uncomfortable walking along before 5 a.m. I don't think. I feel like no one would be out and that wouldn't bother me, but other people probably have more practical firsthand experience that they can share about what to do because I don't know. I mean, obviously, like bike lanes are good, lighting at bus stops, but that only really helps at the bus stop, protection from cars and predators, though. And and then also we should, that's also a reason we need to have more people with physical impairments of any kind, because that's another reason that a lot of people don't drive. Yeah. And you shouldn't have to be physically able as everyone else to engage in your city to the same level. You shouldn't have to be willing to put yourself at risk to be, or to put yourself in danger to participate in the same way as someone with a car. So I don't have great responses to that, but I'd love to get people on that do.
Yeah. The only thing that I can offer is for using the bike lanes and the unprotected bike lanes in particular at night or early hours, they're not near. I take them quite often, and they're not nearly as scary as you think, especially late and early in the morning. During the afternoon, when like rush hour, kind of terrifying. Mm-hmm. But later and early, I found that it's a lot less stressful and a lot less, dangerous then. And for me, as someone who doesn't have a visual impairment, when I was learning how to ride a motor scooter or a bicycle or the one wheel or any of it, I found like just practicing and, sticking with it, doing it regularly helped me out so much. Like if I only rode a one wheel once and stopped, I'd never do it. And two, I made sure that I had an experienced friend ride with me, teach me how to ride until I was ready to go out on my own.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe just riding with other people. Now, they're not going to want to ride with you to work before 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But just getting comfortable. Because I do remember actually, like if I think back to when I got my first bicycle out here, I was definitely way more nervous than I am now. And I remember feeling like, will this feeling of terror ever subside? And it does. And maybe to a point that it shouldn't, because you don't want to be overly comfortable, but
your fear turns into alertness when you know how to read the road, when you know how to sort of read insane drivers coming across elsewhere. But I think it's just you become more alert, you become less panicked because you know what's coming at you for the most part. And that's just a time and experience thing.
Yeah. But yeah, no, again, just to reiterate, we'd love to hear feedback from listeners from their answers too.
Yeah, breakfast, perhaps you come on at some point.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the first part of our AMA. And Eric, do you have anything you want to plug before we sign off?
By the time you're hearing this, I will probably have been featured on an LA Times 404 that Rebecca Castillo is making, so look out for that. And I will probably have been a guest on In a Minute with Evan Lovett, so look for that too. I'm still leading my series of ongoing Silver Lake walks once a month, so you can find those on the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council Instagram is probably the best way, or on my Instagram. I'll share them on the Nobody Drives in LA podcast and the stories too. And then finally, Super Bowl Sunday is coming up as we're recording this, and I don't care about American football, but I do like parties. So this will be the 6th year of my Thanksgiving 2, which is it's like Thanksgiving without all the awkward family conversations, dinner table conversation. It's just friends having Super Bowl food without watching the Super Bowl, but we're going to do it in a park this year and play croquet.
I do care about American football, but not the sport American football. The
commercials.
The Midwest emo math rock band American football.
Is that what they're really called, American football?
Yeah, American football. It's if you ever see an album cover that it's kind of like this green night sky with a lone house on it. That is, or maybe it's not green. I might be thinking about Don Cab. But anyway, their album art is this like lone house on the cover, and it's this iconic album cover. For those of us in the millennial generation, American football, definitely give it a listen. As far as American football though goes, as a Pennsylvanian, I have to say, let's go Birds! Let's riot. And
Wait, who's playing again?
I know it's
Kansas City,
Kansas
right?
City and the Eagles
From Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. So I
here
should
we go.
care, but
Here
I don't.
Here we go.
I really don't.
Yeah, I don't like football, but I like when cities and people get excited about it. Like, I like the excitement. I don't care about the sport or the culture.
I'm weird because I like playing sports more than watching other
Same.
people play
Same.
them.
Same.
So
Yeah.
if anyone brings a football to the meadow, we can play football. It sounds more fun than watching it on TV to me. But
And not at all related to this podcast, I have been working on finishing up some music projects, and they will probably be released by the time this is out. My music stuff, which is largely chill instrumentals. I go by the name, like my Instagram handle, Kyle Rebarf. And we'll be back with part 2 of our AUA.